So now let's explore how participles appear in the past tense. Here's a quick review of what we've seen before, that when I have a narrator narrating a story, and I have a participle in that story, so I'm going to translate that participle in past tense. Conversely, if I have a speaker speaking in a story, most of the time, it's going to be present or future tense. We're going to see that when the participle is translated into past tense, it is rarely translated in regular past tense. I mean, it occasionally happens, but much more common is to see this different form. It's a different form of the past tense, which is called past continuous, which we're going to get to in a moment. So here we have a pasuk where the participle is translated into regular past tense. Now it's much, much less common than the next one that we're going to see in a moment. But let's look at the pasuk. It says, Vayahav Yitzchak et Esav. Yitzchak loved Esav. V'Rivka ohevet et Yaakov. So here I have my participle ohevet. Okay? Now, if I look at the pasuk, I see that there's no one speaking, so I have a narrator. And we mentioned before that if I have a participle with the narrator narrating, it's going to be past tense. So Vayahav Yitzchak et Esav. Yitzchak loved Esav. Rivka ohevet et Yaakov. Rivka loved Yaakov. And you can see in the pasuk that it's parallel language here. We have Vayahav Yitzchak et Esav. And here we have Rivka is parallel to Yitzchak. Ohevet is parallel to Vayahav. Et Yaakov is parallel to et Esav. So Ohevet is parallel to Vayahav. Vayahav is past tense. So Ohevet's going to be past tense. Now, a much more common occurrence in Tanakh is to have something called the past continuous. Now, the past continuous is when you tell a story that happened in the past. There's a way to tell the story that will draw in the audience, that will make the listener be excited to hear the story. So look at this girl who's on the phone. Listen to how she is telling her story. You'll never guess what I found today. I was shopping at the mall, and I was walking into the store or something. Okay, so look what she says. I was shopping. Why doesn't she say, I shopped? She says, I was walking. Why doesn't she say, I walked? The reason is that when people tell a story, they want to add drama. So they use this past continuous. So they use either was or were plus the ing form of the word. So let's use a case of I was driving. I was driving this morning and ... It's much more exciting to say I was driving, right, than I drove. I drove this morning to work. I was driving this morning to work. It's a very different experience for the listener. So I was driving or you were driving, right, helps the listener experience the events of the story. Now, why would the Tanakh want to use this type of verb? What's the benefit of using this type of verb? Well, we know the Tanakh is full of stories, and it makes these stories exciting. It draws the listener into the story to make you feel like you're going through the experiences with the characters of the stories. Here we have a pasuk from Sefer Shmuel where we see that the past continuous really draws you into the story. So here we have a case where Abigail is trying to stop David from killing her husband. So here we have the pasuk, he, meaning Abigail, rochevet al hachamor. So what's rochevet? Rochevet is a participle, rhymes with shomeret. He rochevet al hachamor, ve yoredet, beseter hahar. Yoredet rhymes with shomeret as well, so it's a participle. V'hinei zavid v'anashav, yordim l'kratah. Okay, yordim rhymes with shomrim. It's a participle. I have my O in the middle. I have my im suffix, so it's a participle. So I have three participles. In this pasuk, I don't have a speaker. I have a narrator, right? So the narrator tells stories in the past. But it's not just regular past. It's going to be past continuous. So let's do that was, were, ing form, okay? So Abigail was riding al hachamor on the donkey, v'yoredet, right? And was descending. Okay, so she was riding on the donkey and she was descending beseter hahar, in like the seter, like a hidden part hahar of the mountain. V'hinei, and behold, David v'anashav, David and his men, yordim l'kratah, yordim. So they were descending. L'kratah, l'krat is towards, is her. Okay, so we see here, right, that it draws you really into the story. She was riding on the donkey. She was descending the mountain. David and his men were descending towards her. It's setting the scene for you to really visualize this event. Here we have 6 psukim which help us see this concept of the past continuous in action. Okay, so let's look at number 5. Okay, Vayera elav Hashem. So Hashem appeared to him, be'elonei Mamre, in the plains of Mamre, v'hu, and Avram, Yoshev petach ohel. So Yoshev is my participle. I'm just shomer. So how would you translate it? So I have a narrator. So it's going to be past continuous. So he, Avram, was sitting at the entrance of the tent. Okay, so Hashem appeared to him in Elonei Mamre, and Abraham was sitting at the entrance of the tent. Okay, let's look at number 6. In Sefer Shemot, Vayar Chotein Moshe. Chotein Moshe is the father-in-law of Moshe. So the father-in-law of Moshe saw, Ekol asher hu oseh la'am, all that he oseh, all that he, do I have a narrator? Absolutely. So all that he was doing, la'am, for the nation. Vayomer, and he said, Ma hadavar hazeh asher ata oseh la'am. Madua ata yoshev levadecha. Okay, so he said, so I have now what? Vayomer, he said, I have a speaker, right here, my quotation marks. Ma hadavar hazeh, what is this thing? Asher ata is masculine singular. Right, so oseh is going to be masculine singular. What is this thing that you, now, do I have a speaker or do I have a narrator? I have a speaker. Remember, vayomer, right? I have a speaker here. What is this thing? Asher ata oseh, that you are doing. It has to be present tense or future tense because I have a speaker. What is this thing that you are doing? La'am, for the nation. Madua ata yoshev, why are you sitting? Why are you sitting livadecha, alone? Okay, so here, because I have a speaker, it's going to be present tense or future tense. What I like about this pasuk is that you have the same word, oseh, appears 2 times. The first time we have it with the narrator, so I have that past continuous. And the second time I have it with a speaker, so I see it's present tense when I have the speaker. So the same word is translated differently, and we see the difference between a narrator versus a speaker. Okay, look at number 7. Okay, so we have Devora. Udevora shofta et Yisrael, v'hi yoshevet tachat tomer. Okay, so Devora shofta. Now, shofta is a tricky one. Okay, shofta is that old biblical Hebrew for feminine singular, right? Participle. Usually I'm going to see like shofetetz, yoshevet, right? Here I have shofta. That's that old biblical Hebrew. So udevora shofta. So do I have a narrator or a speaker? So I obviously have a narrator. There's no one talking. So Devora was judging. Devora was judging Israel, Bnei Israel. V'hi yoshevet. Okay, and she was sitting, right? She was sitting. I have that was ing form, that past continuous, because I do not have a speaker. Okay, so now let's look at number 8. So I'm just going to erase a little bit here so we can see it better. Okay, here we go. Let me just bring down. Okay, so number 8, we have in Sefer Shoftim, we have Vayavo Yiftach. So Yiftach is the name of a man. So Yiftach came, V'hinei bito, and behold his daughter, Yotzeit Likrato. And behold his daughter. So do I have a speaker or narrator? I have a narrator, right? So it's going to be that was ing form. And behold his daughter was going out, was exiting likrato. Likrat is towards him. Okay, so I have that was ing because I have a narrator. Let's look at Megillat Esther, number 9. Vayhi bayom hashlishi. On the 3rd day, v'hamelech yoshev. And the king, again, of a narrator. So the king was sitting al kisei malchuto, on his royal throne, on his royal throne, the throne of kingship, his kingship. Vayhi kirot hamelech. When the king saw, I have that right here. When the king saw at Esther Hamalka, Esther the queen, omedet bechatzer. What's omedet? So the implication is she was standing. Okay, she was standing. So when the king saw Esther the queen, that's going to replace the she was, right? Esther the queen standing in the courtyard, dot. Okay? Now let's look at number 10. So here we have number 10. The Hamelech Shav, the king returns, al beit mishtehayayin, to the place where the banquet's taking place that Esther made. The Haman nofel. Haman nofel al hamita asher Esther alaha. So Haman was nofel. So do I have a speaker, a narrator? So I have a narrator. So Haman was falling, right? Haman was falling on the bed that Esther was on it. That Esther was on the bed. Okay, that Esther was on. So Haman was falling. At the moment that the king was returning to the place where the banquet was taking place, Haman was falling on the bed. It's really capturing this moment in time. So now we can understand this part of the visual model of participles. So we mentioned already that participles participate in verbs, nouns, and adjectives. And we've spoken about verbs in particular. We said that when there's a speaker, right, it's going to be present or future tense. And when there's a narrator, it's going to be that past continuous, that was ing form. We did say occasionally it will be regular past tense, but that's fairly rare. Okay, so we understand this chart about participles. Next, we're going to look at what happens when participles are translated as nouns. Okay, stay tuned.